Yes, martyrdom was my biggest wish.
What they have in common,
God promised we would return to this land.
Jews, Christians and Muslims.
This is the ultimate sacrifice, to give your soul as a gift to God, the Creator, and the country.
The belief that modern society has lost its way.
They're raping virgin teenage America on the sidewalk, and everybody's walking by and acting like everything's okay.
The problem we have now with these civilizations is you don't offer the man where to go. He doesn't know his place in life.
The people that don't keep the Torah, they don't understand the meaning of being Jews, they're wasting their life.
They say God is the answer.
I would like to see America become the nation under God again.
But their battle to save the world has caused anger, division, and fear.
I believe that Islam is a real threat.
Something's gone wrong. We've too closely fused politics and our faith.
I fear from those individuals who feel that they will go to heaven by killing me. I fear for my life.
Jerusalem, the ancient city filled with sacred meaning for three great religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I'm Christiane Amanpour. When piety meets politics, it can be a volatile mix, which is one reason Jerusalem, the so-called City of Peace, has been torn by centuries of war. Even today, the battle is led by men and women who believe their vision and sometimes violence are part of a divine script. We call them God's warriors. Whether Muslim, Christian, or Jew, millions of people view the world through a religious prism. They want God back in their daily lives, back to the seat of power. Tonight, and for the next 2 nights, we explore who they are, what they want, and why this is a battle they say they cannot afford to lose. God's Jewish warriors. Over the last 40 years, they have changed the course of history. Ignore them, and lasting peace in the Holy Land may be out of reach. Our story begins in the West Bank city of Hebron. The city is steeped in the history of patriarchs, prophets, and biblical kings. It is home to some of the most zealous of God's Jewish warriors. They are determined to settle the land that Israel captured from the Arabs in 1967. The settlers call it by its biblical name, Judea and Samaria. A few weeks ago, it took hundreds of Israeli riot police to evict Jewish settlers from just 2 illegally occupied apartments in a Hebron neighborhood. In the Jewish Bible, the Torah, the book of Genesis says God gave this land to the Jewish people. The 500 Jewish settlers of Hebron are surrounded by 140,000 Palestinians. Choosing to live here means risking their lives.
My mother was holding the telephone, and suddenly she heard screaming like she never heard in her life.
The screaming that night in 1998 was Sippi Schlissel's father, 63-year-old Rabbi Shlomo Ra'anan.
This is the house that my parents used to live.
A Palestinian man had broken into her parents' house.
You see now where the terrorist came, went on this wall into the window.
The man who once held Sippi as a little girl was now fighting for his life.
He was in his pajamas, and the terrorist was holding his hand, and my mother tried to save my father and push him in the other hand, like my father was in the middle. And then the terrorist took the knife and he stabbed my father. in his heart. And all the blood was like flowing all over. And my mother, she's a nurse, and she tried to save him, but it was impossible.
Despite everything, Tzipi, her husband, and their 10 children stay in Hebron, a few doors from her parents' house.
We have the Holy Land. It's where God says this is where the Jews has to live.
But it is also Palestinian land. The West Bank, it's west of the Jordan River, was designated by the United Nations to be the largest part of an Arab state.
Let him be in a different place. I didn't see any place in the Bible that it says there's green line, that you have to cut the land to half.
There are now more than 200 West Bank settlements and outposts, home to 240,000 Jews. Another 180,000 Jews live in East Jerusalem, land claimed by the Arabs as theirs.
We're looking here at the phenomenon of the suburban settlement.
All of this?
Right.
Gershom Gorenberg, an American-born Israeli, is a journalist and historian.
So what is this, Gershom? We're going through, there's Israeli soldiers here.
We are passing through a major Israeli checkpoint.
Driving through checkpoints on West Bank highways, he showed me how the settlements reinforce Israel's control.
By placing the settlements between the Palestinian towns, it creates long fingers that run into the West Bank, and that makes it very difficult to create a contiguous Palestinian state.
Preventing a Palestinian state is precisely the point for right-wing settlers. They want Israel to annex the occupied land permanently, but not give the Palestinians who live there full democratic rights.
I feel it's like the one that killed my father. You never can trust them.
God's Jewish warriors look to the book of Ezekiel for inspiration. Ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers. This is central to their belief that only when the Jews return to their homeland and live their lives according to the Torah will the Messiah come to save the world.
The people that don't keep the Torah, they don't understand the meaning of being Jews, the meaning of the land, they wasting their life.
The impact of God's Jewish warriors goes far beyond these rocky hills. The Jewish settlements have inflamed much of the Muslim world.
You can't understand the anger of radical Islam unless you understand the conflict between Jews and Palestinians. This tiny piece of land matters much more to people than huge countries elsewhere in the world.
How God's Jewish warriors reshaped the Holy Land is a remarkable story. It's a story of rabbis who became politicians.
Are you asking if they misled the government? There's no doubt it was a political trick.
Housewives willing to confront their own soldiers.
I don't recognize any Palestinian right to ownership of this land.
And although the number is small, there are terrorists, Jewish terrorists, including some who would even kill Palestinian children.
One brings the car, one brings the explosives, one takes care of the clock, one lays the bomb, and that's how it works.
All in God's name.